Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be giving you my Aquarius November 2018 horoscope forecast. And yes, this does apply and pertain to the Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. Anyway, first thing up is, as far as November goes, the Sun will be in Scorpio from the 1st until the 22nd. So the 10th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time, there could be a strong concentration of power, focus, attention on the career, the dominant parent, which is often the father, authority figures, even attaining authority, success, recognition, notoriety, exposure, one's reputation and public image, and also one's stature in life and social status. Now, given this is Scorpio energy, this may be done with a lot of Scorpio-like willful, intractable energy, with a lot of emotional intensity, resourcefulness. It could be also incisiveness, and also going beyond subterfuge and superficiality. And it could be done with a lot of power and control, and even manipulation in some cases. So just try to avoid potential manipulative behavior in order, if you're trying to make your way to that pinnacle of success, so to speak, or trying to attain some kind of notoriety and exposure and recognition. A lot of these 10th house matters may even be done in a rather very secretive manner, and even sneaky and even surreptitious way. So anyway, the next thing up is the Sun will be in Sagittarius as far as November goes, from the 22nd until the 30th. So the 11th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time, there could be a strong concentration of power, focus, and attention on friends, acquaintances, goals, aspirations, one's future, even social media, groups, clubs, organizations, and humanitarianism even. And given that this is Sagittarius energy, this may be done with a lot of exuberance, a lot of enthusiasm and ebullience, effervescence, and a lot of positivity, a lot of positive energy, and a lot of hope, and perhaps especially toward one's future, and a lot of expansive energy, but also with a lot of jocularity, and really jovial energy, and the veritable truth, going at these matters, friends and acquaintances especially, by with the veritable truth, and whether it may actually hurt someone or not. Now, also be guard against self-righteous energy. So if you have anything, matters dealing as far as with your friends, acquaintances, and dealing with them, perhaps especially, just guard against like self-righteous behavior, and just thinking like, well, whatever I think is right, and everybody and all of you are wrong. So it's important to be philosophical at this time, and given Sagittarius energy, that would be appropriate. So anyway, now there will be a new moon in Scorpio on November 7th. So at this time, the 10th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. In some cases, this may indicate the start of a new Scorpio-like career. It could be something with astrology, the occult, supernatural, embalming, working as a coroner, funeral director, doing something with forensics, investigation, detective work, perhaps. Also, too, this could be perhaps Scorpio energy could be about rebirth and regeneration. So this could be a revived connection with a dominant parent. If that connection had been dormant for some time, this could be a time where you may get that, perhaps that revived connection with him or her. It could, and the person may even be a Scorpio Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, or simply one that embodies Scorpio-like characteristics. Now, also, it could be a start of using very willful, intractable energy and resourcefulness, perhaps to obtain a higher position, to some ranking, or improving as far as your career may go, improving your stature in life and social status, and also a new period of resiliency in terms of maybe bouncing back if your reputation or public image was hurt in any way. This could be that time to start to come back from it and not wallowing if that's what you had been doing previously. So anyway, well, the next thing up is there will be a full moon in Gemini on November 23rd. So the fifth house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time, well, in some cases, you might become simply tired, full, exasperated, and overly mercurial, vacillating, exceptionally loquacious and two-faced, even gossiping, overly nosy or inquisitive. A lover, it could be a child, it could be someone prominent in your fun, amusement, and enjoyment. Some cases, this could signify the completion or culmination of a Gemini hobby. It could be something connected with writing, in this case being the fifth house. It could be creative writing. It could have been something that you might have done in some other communication capacity. It could be the completion of doing something with connected with auto mechanics or refrigeration mechanics, something that could be communications related. So or something like with dexterity, as I stated before, like auto or refrigeration mechanics. Could be something computer related, and also given that is connected with communications. Now also this could be something too where you might be putting, I mean, when you're talking about a full moon, this could be also be about a revelation or unveiling. And in some cases, this could be perhaps the revelation or unveiling of maybe, rather, it could be a two-faced or overly, I mean, superficial child, or it could be a lover, somebody that you share some kind of creative endeavor with. It could also be a time where maybe somebody was revealed that was maybe doing a lot of gossiping that may have just simply you know, maybe impacted your personal popularity. And this could be a time too where you put a lot of this full emotional energy into really a variety of things, perhaps to increase maybe your personal popularity, and also many manifold things of enjoyment at this time. So anyway, next thing up is Mercury will be in Sagittarius, and it will be retrograde from the 17th until the 30th, and the 11th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. At this time, this could be a time where you might do a lot of have a lot of sports, religious, philosophical discussions with friends, with acquaintances at this time, with people that are in some group, club, or organization. This could be very expansive and optimistic thinking regarding your future, your aspirations, your goals. And at this time, you may be simply laying down the law with friends in your communications, so to speak, and speaking the veritable truth, or what you see as the veritable truth with these people. Now, also, too, as I've stated previously, that Mercury can also be about siblings. It's not just about communications. This could be, in some cases, where Sagittarius siblings, they could be Sagittarius sun, moon, or ascendant people, or simply ones that embody Sagittarius-like characteristics, might figure more prominently in your aspirations, your goals, your clubs, groups, or organization you may join, and maybe even your future as well. And of course, a lot of it could depend on the aspects this makes to other points in your chart as to whether this could be really to your detriment, or maybe, or whether it could be positive. I'm sorry about that, people. Anyway, another thing is that when I look at this, this could be also too. Another way this could manifest is that there could be a lot of candid and blunt conversations with those in social media, and philosophical discussions with those people, perhaps, and also doing a lot of reviewing about those discussions, perhaps as well. During that time, it's going to be retrograde. It's going to be retrograde again for about half of the month. So anyway, next thing up. Venus will be in Libra. It will be retrograde from the 1st until the 16th, and the 9th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. At this time, well, first off, just try to guard against perhaps phony or superficial charm with in-laws, with grandchildren, with foreigners, maybe people you may know in some religious congregation or college, university. Given it's going to be retrograde for about half the month, this could reflect in some cases some could be back pay or money owed from some legal matter. It could be a lawsuit, and it could benefit you in terms of doing something ninth house related, such as traveling abroad, publishing, or even higher education. Hold on a minute, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. Well, anyway. Also, too, another way this can manifest perhaps is it could be about the enjoyment of Libra-like games with in-laws, with grandchildren. It could be people you know at a religious congregation or college, university. This could be, or with foreigners, it could be playing a game like People's Court or Law and Order. I would say even Jenga, because that's about balancing things as well. I would say that there's balance, there's Libra qualities in that game. And also, too, this could be about the expression of intellectual sociability with ninth house type people such as philosophers and publishers, people. It could be at a higher education such as college professors perhaps, and also balanced spending, perhaps equitable balanced spending, fair spending on ninth house matters in general. Anyway, next thing up is Mars will be in Aquarius as far as November goes, from the 1st until the 15th. So the first house is what will be emphasized and highlighted at this time. In some cases, this could be where you might really have more acrimonious, contentious situations, perhaps with someone from your early childhood. It could be where you might become angry at this person, someone from early childhood. Maybe at some kind of unusual, bizarre, idiosyncratic behavior. It might even be yourself you might become mad at as far as expressing that behavior. Maybe given this is Mars in the first house, you could be have more really strong abundance and surfeit of energy during this time. And although it might be sporadic and erratic, it could also be where you put a lot of this energy that you have at this time perhaps into something Aquarius-like, such as electronics, computers, the internet. It could be it could be something with innovation or aerospace or astrology, and also a lot of energy may be going in to improving, changing your outlook and making a first impression, making even maybe a more unique first impression than you may already do, and also putting a lot of this abundance of energy into things of a humanitarian and selfless nature as well. So anyway, and also too, I mean, you might come across as a little bit more, I guess you could say, not more outspoken and more courageous and having more fortitude than usual on a first impression. And also new beginnings, putting that energy into a lot of new beginnings, and again, something that could be Aquarius related. Some examples I had stated before. So anyway. Next thing up, Mars will be in Pisces as far as November goes, from the 15th until the 30th. So the second house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Now at this time, this could be about a lot of energy, perhaps dealing, it could be with monetary matters that might be causing they might be very chaotic or confusing or convoluted. Also, at this time, you might become angry over an overly passive, deceptive, duplicitous, indolent person that you might have maybe valued at some point, or maybe figures prominently in your possessions, your resources, and also it could be somebody that maybe you generate money with, generate income with. Now, also too, this could be Another way this could manifest, perhaps this could be also where you might fulfill, in some cases, if you're unattached at this time, Aquarius, where you might fulfill a sexual fantasy with someone at that place where you make your money, where you generate income. And also this could manifest in a lot of self-sacrificing, compassionate energy regarding your resources, possessions, and things of a monetary nature. You might, sadly, at this time, remember that when you're talking about Pisces energy, this could often be more about fantasizing than actually acting on, and you may find yourself daydreaming and fantasizing about making money more, increasing possessions, resources, and really and maybe even doing things to increase your self-worth, and more fantasizing about that than actually doing something about it. So anyway, next thing up is Jupiter will be in Scorpio as far as November goes, from the 1st until the 8th. So the 10th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. At this time, well, as I've talked about previously, Jupiter could be very strongly benign and benevolent, but could also be very paradoxical. It could also have a tendency to enlarge and expand things. In some cases, this could expand rather nefarious, surreptitious, sneaky, even manipulative behavior, perhaps from the dominant parent. It could be someone prominent in your career or an authority figure, perhaps. And it might be people that might be impacting your public image and reputation. Also, too, this could manifest perhaps in luck and fortune through making a major transformation in your career, or it could be or through some Scorpio career endeavors, such as something like embalming, working as a coroner, investigation, forensics, astrology, the occult, supernatural. Also, too, this could be very fortuitous for going beyond subterfuge and superficiality with the dominant parent and authority figure, someone prominent in your career, perhaps. And also, too, and maybe looking at this could be a time where you might adopt a more profound, deep philosophy connected with your stature in life and how you, maybe your social status, how you measure up to others. That maybe, like, for example, you might be seen in a more deeper level, like thinking perhaps that it's not just really about, well, how much money do I have in contrast to this person, or where am I at in terms of my career in relation to someone else and my success, where you may be looking at it deeper, where how about who I am as a person in contrast to others, and what about my insight, and going beyond what's materialistic and superficial perhaps. So anyway, next thing up is Jupiter will be in Sagittarius as far as November goes, from the 8th until the 30th. So the 11th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time, as I've talked about previously and just a little bit ago, that Jupiter can be paradoxical, can be very strongly benign and benevolent, but it could also have a tendency to enlarge and expand. Now, in some cases, this may very well expand self-righteous, foolhardy, even over-optimistic and reckless behavior, perhaps from friends. It could be acquaintances, people you may know in a group, club, or organization, some people you may know on social media, and it might even reflect your dealings with them to some degree as well. And also, remember, being overly foolhardy regarding expanding foolhardiness and regarding, say, your goals, your aspirations, and things you're trying to attain, because you just don't want to. I mean, it's good to be optimistic, but to be realistic as well, and not set something way too high that really is unrealistic as far as attaining. Now, the thing about this too is this could also be very fortuitous in a lot of cases for something Sagittarius related, such as sports, religion, traveling abroad, working as an interpreter, translator, or something religious that could be tied into a goal or aspiration. And also, too, this could be about very strong hope in one's future, and with a lot of expansive Sagittarius energy. And also, this could be about putting a lot of perhaps exuberance and enthusiasm, perhaps an exploration or adventure, and traveling abroad perhaps, and this could be something where it could be done with friends or even or maybe even acquaintances in some cases, and some group related activities. So anyway, next thing up is Saturn will be in Capricorn still, so the 12th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted at this time. Well, you might find yourself being more introverted and introspective than usual, finding yourself taking responsibility to limitations and restrictions. Now, sorrows may be dealt with there in seclusion and solitude at this time. The sorrows you may be dealing with, it might be very hard for you to talk about and express to others. Hold on a minute, people. Sorry about that, I'm back again. Now, anyway, it could also be another way this could manifest is that it could be where you're taking out what's frivolous, what's superfluous, the things that might be like baggage, things that are not very important in your life, and discarding them at this point in time. And also, in some cases, this could be manifest where you might be taking care of somebody that might be in a less fortunate situation than yourself, and that might be debilitated or sickly, and it might be something Capricorn related, such as something with the bones, the joints, or the knees, and might be making you feel somewhat despondent or melancholy. In some cases, it could be an aunt or an uncle, or somebody that's prominent in your private life. Now, also, too, this could manifest in a laborious work in seclusion. It could be something that could be government-related in some cases. And also, it could be a time, too, sadly, where in some cases it could be the loss of a father, and where the relationship might be dissipating to some degree, whether it's an actual literal loss, such as a death, or it could be where the relationship might be dissipating, might be diminished during this time. I have this placement actually natally. I mean, I have Saturn in my 12th house, and my father sadly died when I was 3 years old. It's also one of my 10th house rulers, and it falls in the 12th house of restrictions and limitations. So anyway, next thing up is Uranus will be in Taurus as far as November goes, from the 1st until the 6th. So the 4th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. At this time, you might find yourself adopting a lot of unusual values, family values perhaps at this time. This could be manifest in the formulation, perhaps of very ingenious money-making ideas with one close to home. They could have to do maybe it's ideas that you come up with when you're basically at home, or it could also be, in some cases, another way this can manifest is Taurus friendships might figure prominently in your emotional security, and this could be. And depending on the aspects it makes, of course, this could be whether positive or negative, or where it might be to your detriment or it might be beneficial. Now, they could be Taurus Sun, Moon, or Ascendant people, or simply ones that embody Taurus-like characteristics. And it could be just very persistent, loyal, steadfast friends. Factor into your home life at this time than usual. You might feel very close at home with these people as well. It might also be about doing Uranus things out of the home. It could be something connected with astrology. It could be astronomy, electronics, computers, innovation, and also, too, I mean, remember, the 4th house is about our roots and traditions. It could be, well, it could be a time where you might have a lot of unusual persistence trying to get to the roots, or you might see something that's very shocking at this time connected with your roots and ancestry. And also to guard against becoming, I mean, this could be a greater propensity toward electric shock in the home. So just, I mean, if you're doing some kind of electrical wiring and you need to be wearing gloves, make sure take special care to take those precautions at this time, more so than usual. Anyway, next thing up is Uranus will be in Aries as far as November goes, from the 6th until the 30th. So the third house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. At this time, you might find that your communications may be more sporadic and erratic than usual. You might have more original, ingenious, very spontaneous and pioneering thinking. These ideas might come up very spontaneously and very abruptly as well. Now, another way this could manifest is that Aries friendships, they could be Aries sun, moon, or ascendant people, or simply people that embody air friends and embody Aries-like characteristics, might figure more prominently in your short journeys at this time, your communications. They might even be more prominent in matters with your siblings, your cousins, your neighbors, perhaps. And you might find more unpredictable, volatile behaviors, sadly, in matters with siblings, coming from neighbors, from cousins, people you know in your short journeys, even someone you may know from your early education. And you might find yourself doing more communication. It could be writing, talking, more about Uranus-like matters at this time. It could be a lot more conversations and communications connected with astrology, innovation, the future even. It could be about computers, electronics, and aerospace, even something that could be Uranus-like at this time. So anyway, and also your communications might be a little bit more erratic and sporadic, more so than usual at this time. Anyway, next thing up. Neptune will be in Pisces, and the second house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. At this time, well, you might be more susceptible to financial fraud at this time than usual, more deception and duplicity in connection with money matters. So just be careful if you're asleep and someone rings the phone and tries to ask you for some kind of pertinent or financial information, and just because you could be more susceptible being caught off guard in a situation like this and divulge critical financial information that could ultimately be to your detriment. Also, too, you might be going through more chaos and confusion over your possessions, your resources, whether you're trying to find things or what have you at this time. It could be a timing when you're talking about Neptune energy could be very nebulous and unclear. So it's really important to keep everything, your possessions, your resources, those things very organized at this time, more so than usual, and make things that they're easier to find. And also too, again, I mean, as I stated before, there's more propensity perhaps for financial fraud or deception that might impact you. But at the same time, on the positive end, you might be making money, generating income through something Neptune-like. It could be something with the metaphysical, which could include astrology, something with photography, chemistry, illusions such as work as a magician. But at the same time, you might find that some of your values at this time, even your self-esteem and self-worth, you might find it perhaps dissipating or dissolving, and even things of a monetary nature. On a positive end, what could happen too is that spirituality in some cases might become more valued for some people, and you might have more of a dissipation of things of a monetary, material nature, but at the same time that something of a spiritual nature might become more significant to you in terms of what you value. So anyway, last but not least, Pluto will be in Capricorn still, so the 12th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time, well, as I've stated and talked about Pluto before, I know a lot of you don't want me to say the dreaded D word, but you know I'm going to anyway. In some cases, this could reflect an actual literal death of someone prominent in your private life. Some cases, it could be an aunt or an uncle. This could also be careful regarding perhaps some kind of obsessive or compulsive behavior. Could be one's undoing. This could be about maybe an onset of some obsessive or compulsive mental illness, perhaps. Also, too, in a positive end, if somebody does have something, if there is a mental illness, this could be about gaining power and control over it as well. And a lot of that could depend on the aspects this makes to points in your natal chart. A good aspect, say, to your, say, your natal Jupiter could be very fortuitous. At the same time, this could manifest perhaps in having powerful hidden adversaries and a lot of upheavals in your private life at this time, more so perhaps than usual. Now, it could also be about, in some cases, then on a positive note, it could be about the obliteration or destruction of hidden adversaries. So like whoever, if you have anybody that's posing as a friend, maybe you can, is really actually an enemy, perhaps at this time they might be more likely to be exposed, and by finding out who these people really are, they could be, you know, gone from your life. See you, don't want to be you. So anyway, and also too about maybe a rebirth in some kind of perhaps spiritual manner, and it could also be, as I've stated, about the 12th house. Can also be about limitations and restrictions, and it could be in some cases about that obliteration or destruction of them and trying at least gain power over those things. Also going back to the hidden adversaries, these people may be someone in a Pluto-like capacity, could be somebody in the occult, supernatural, astrology, somebody that works in a field associated with death, such as something like an embalmer, or a coroner, something that could be somebody that might be in a Pluto-like profession. So anyway, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for my Aquarius November 2018 horoscope forecast. Stay tuned next time where I'll be giving you my Pisces November 2018 horoscope forecast. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.